All right, so it seems that we are live now. Welcome everyone to the webinar Art and Blockchain. I'll give a short introduction in just a few minutes. We are waiting for a few more people to connect, and then we shall start. We have a very interesting panel today with artists from 4 different countries. I could even say 5 different countries. So I think it's going to be super interesting. I can see that there are more people connecting, so let's wait a few additional minutes. Maybe someone wants to tell a joke in the meantime, a joke related to blockchains. We don't have to.
I'm just laughing. I don't have a joke.
Okay, the number of people in the audience is increasing slowly but steadily, which is good. At least we are not just the 5 of us. All right, I suppose that we can start. So welcome everyone to the webinar Art and Blockchain. This webinar is part of a series of webinars organized by the French institutes of Norway, Sweden, and Finland. It's part of the initiative called Digital November, which is a series of webinars exploring and sharing insights, initiatives around digital and art. And my name is Albert Mej. I am the founder and CEO of a company called Presence, which is specialized in innovation, industrial innovation, and digital transformation. I also have a foot in the academic world. I teach topics around innovation management and digital transformation for various business schools. And today I'm very happy to be the moderator or the facilitator of this webinar, of this panel discussion around art and blockchain. And as you know, blockchain has been around for quite a while, for over a decade. It has become popular, especially through the Bitcoins, which were kind of the hype for some years. Now the new hype, so to speak, is around NFT, non-fungible tokens, which are closely related to the art world. And so if in the audience you have always wondered what is the relation between blockchain and art, or what is blockchain, what is NFT, I am an artist and I would like to leverage these technologies to become an even better artist and rich artist. And if you have had one of these questions, then you are in the right place, because we are welcoming in a few minutes 4 different artists who are going to share their experience with you. If you are joining now, you are in the Art and Blockchain webinar, and we are going to speak about why using these technologies, what are these technologies and what they can bring to the world of art, and as an artist, how you can use these technologies. And to discuss all these topics, I will ask the virtual audience to welcome with me the 4 artists who are with us today from 4 different countries. From Norway, we have Trim. From Sweden, we have Ole. From Denmark, we have Yunus. And finally, from France, but she's also Italian, we have Primavera. And thank you guys for being with us today. And I think the first question that I would like to ask you is to share with me and to share with the rest of the audience which is with us today, your own experience, your own journey. When did you start using these blockchain and NFTs and digital technologies for your art? What did it change in your life as an artist? And maybe also what did it change in terms of your relation with your audience? And don't hesitate also to say a few words about yourself and introduce yourself, because I already said not much. So whoever wants to start, please go for it. Primavera is not on mute, so maybe she can start.
Okay, sure. So I think as an artist, I've been using blockchain technologies since 2014-15. Before we were talking about NFTs at all, and my actual artistic practice with blockchain technology was not related to tokens and things like that. I created those what I call blockchain-based life form, which are actual. So I'm first and foremost, as an artist, I'm a sculptor, and I've been making like mechanical interactive sculpture, very analog for a long time. But I'm also a researcher, and my research is oftentimes used as an excuse to create my art. And so for a long time, I was making research on copyright law, and so all my artwork were trying to challenge copyright law in the physical world. And then I started doing my research on blockchain, and so I created those mechanical sculpture, which are look a little bit like plants, like mechanical plants. And the idea was to illustrate with artistic practice the legal challenges that are encountered with the rise of blockchain technology, smart contracts, distributed autonomous organization, and so forth. And so I created those mechanical sculpture that looks like plants, and that can be fed with cryptocurrencies. And whenever they receive some funds, then they react. They show some form of appreciation. They move. They light up, or they make some music, and so forth. And the goal of every blockchain-based life form, like any life form, is to reproduce itself. And the way to reproduce itself is by accumulating capital and then using that capital in order to hire humans, artists, to create a new copy of themselves. And so the mechanical sculpture was integrated with a smart contract. And whenever the plantoid will acquire enough money to reproduce itself, then it will call for bids. So pretty much what now every DAO does, which is like a call for proposal. And people could submit propositions about how they envision to create the next iteration of this plantoid. And then all the people that have been funding the plantoid in the first place have governance power. They have influence in choosing which proposal they like the most, and therefore they can affect the way in which the plantoid will evolve over time. And then at some point, of course, there is a winner that has been established, and that's when the plantoid will automatically hire the person that proposed this version, will be hired, will be commissioned by the plantoid in order to create this new instance. And so the interesting legal question around this is, of course, what does this all mean? What does it mean when you're feeding the plantoid with cryptocurrencies? Who are you sending the cryptocurrency to, given that the plantoid does not have legal personality? What does it mean when you get hired by the plantoid in order to create a new version? Is there an actual contractual relationship? And who can enforce this contractual relationship? What happens when there is breach of contract, and so forth? So basically showing how, technically speaking, we can do things with blockchain and smart contract that do not actually yet have a proper definition or legal qualification. And so that was like my first practice. And then recently, because of all the NFT hype, I've been thinking a lot about can I actually integrate NFT into my work, and how to do that in a way that actually does not simply qualify as let's create like a digital painting and record it on a blockchain and sell it, because I'm not at all a digital artist, and so this is completely alien to me. But as a way to actually integrate this within my existing work. And so I created last month actually the first plantoid that integrates an NFT functionality, which turns out to actually make the model much cooler. So I'm actually really happy about this addition. And so the way it works now is that the goal is that you want to pollinate the plantoid. And in order to pollinate the plantoid, you have to physically go there. You have to watch, you have to see, you have to interact with the art piece. You cannot just feed it from the internet. And so the way it works is that when you feed the plantoid, you get to interact with it. And so every plantoid has sensors on their body, and you can play with the sensor. So you have to be physically in front of the piece, and you play with the sensor, and they collect data. And this data then is fed into a generative algorithm that generates a particular art piece. For instance, now it's a musical piece. And so the more I feed the plantoid, the more time I have to play with the sensors, and therefore the longer will be the musical piece that come out of it. And at the end of that period, that musical piece gets generated and minted as an NFT, and whoever has fed the plantoid receive the NFT. And this is the seed of the plantoid. And then that seed, of course, is only given to the people that have come in front of the art piece and that have interacted with it. But then that seed can be sold on the secondary market. And every time it is being sold, every time the seed is traveling from one hand to the other, there is a percentage of the sale price that is fed back into the plantoid that generated the seed. And in this way, the plantoid can accumulate capital, but directly from the people that are giving money in order to generate the NFT, and indirectly by all the people that are purchasing the NFT on the secondary market. And in the end, whenever enough money has been accumulated, it is no longer whoever has funded the plantoid that gets the influence power, but it's the person that is currently holding the NFTs. And so if you have like 20 NFT that have been created, you have 20 people that can vote on the proposition. And so it has a benefit in the sense that it's but it does actually create a much better economic incentive for people to contribute to the plantoid, because it's no longer just a philanthropic thing. It's actually you gain a digital asset, you gain a speculative asset in exchange, and so the plant can actually accumulate more money much more faster. And it also has this benefit of from like the more artistic and allegoric perspective, it fits much better into the message of the pollination and how humans are actually acting as the pollinator for the plantoid, and they have to come and they have to see it. They have to the goal of the art piece is to be seen and to be interacted with, and so you have to physically come in front of it in order to be granted the right of actually collecting one of its seeds, and then you can share the seeds around.
Okay, thanks a lot, Primavera. I think you all understood that Primavera is an analog artist or a physical artist, and in the panel today we have another physical artist, Ule, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So maybe you would like to tell also your stories and complete what Primavera very well explained. How, as an analog artist, you leverage these technologies for your art, and then we will listen to Jonas and Trim, who are on the digital scene.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I'm happy to share. I think that I would like, first, it's quite interesting to follow up on Primavera, because for me in 2017, where the journey began for me, one of the more fascinating artworks that I picked up from the further field book, Artists Reinventing the Blockchain, it was the Plantoid project that has just been spoken about. And for me, there was something very, very interesting in this gray area, existing in this space in between somehow. And what I was tempted to think was originally actually really forking the plantoid, or the idea of having a circus performance as being like acting in the same way. You invest in the circus performance, and the circus performance will reach out to have someone create a derivate or iteration of itself. But what I would like to start with, just to my background is in circus originally. I was an acrobat. I also been directing for a long time, and I've been looking for new ways of organizing in order to really incentivize artistic creativity and distribute resources and power in different processes, because I felt that there always been an issue that we don't join together in a good enough way to do what we had the potential to create. And I saw something within the blockchain that I thought was interesting. So what I wanted to do now was just to share a video from the past, because this is from the spring 2018. And I find it quite interesting because I will show you that one, and then I will read a letter from the same time. It will take approximately 5 minutes all in all together. And I think then I just wrap up with a little thing, but because this is a nice segue into what I'm doing now. So I start by sharing screen.
This is Sarah and Olle.
Now it's all the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not so exciting, really.
We need something else. Something new.
Yeah.
That's why it's really great that we're creating the sphere.
Is that the sphere?
Yes.
It's so exciting.
The Sphere is a platform for contemporary performing arts using blockchain technology.
Have you seen the video that we made for the trailer that we made for EXA?
If we can understand and follow these collaborative mechanisms, we become involved with the power of creation itself.
Let's say that all of a sudden economy is a design question, accessible to all of us. The Sphere.
So the Sphere started out as a distributed programmable organization, a digital soul, and it kind of asks an artist, would you like to create a derivative work of one of the works within the Sphere? And then the artist replies, I don't really know. And then the digital soul explains that what if you get a lot of 10,000 euro to create another performance that is a derivative work of the earlier one, and then the artist understands and says, oh yes, okay, and then the artist chooses a team. So let's say the artist is one of the leaves in the basil, for instance, and one team member from outside of the Sphere, from here maybe. They together start to create a work that derives from an earlier Sphere. And what happens here is, since the IP and the copyright that is owned by the digital soul, making sure that people get kickback from the children work that has been created or the grandchildren work, and so on.
What is it like to create commissioned work from an organization without employees that has collected funds from your community?
Normally, as a middleman, I become the sort of parent of an artist. I take care of this and that. But now the digital soul takes care of all of that. It sorts itself out, which is great because it gives me more time to get pumped.
As the possibilities unfold, the Swedish duo are deep diving into the connection between artists, venues, audience and artworks in the different value transactions. The main change of habits, however, is the distribution of power.
Followed by a little letter from the past also, yes. We, the Sphere Shapers, come from contemporary circus, performing art, visual art, game design, radical economy, new technologies, social theory, and more. We're all influenced and inspired by the common trust-making and risk-taking, boundary-pushing art of circus. One of the key starting points is a shared frustration with existing models for organizing artistic production. Artists' creativity is often limited by inflexible infrastructures that suffer systemic inertia. restrict artistic expression, and waste resources. We felt the need to propose an alternative organizing system that distributes power differently between actors and incentivizes artistic inventiveness. New forms of art can thus arise and inefficient bureaucracy is avoided. The other main starting point relates to circus as an art form and its current reception. As contemporary circus artists and innovators, we're a part of a movement where interdisciplinary, global, and experimental work are essential parts of the practice. Nevertheless, the expanded notion of what contemporary circus could be is often held back. We have an urge to experiment with the art production framework itself. This is what brings us to imagine business models meeting artful propositions, pondering in tandem on their joint landing point. We didn't know at all where this exploration process would end up at first. We approached the blockchain space as a new circus discipline, mapping different possible approaches, techniques, and entry points to somehow interact with this hard-to-grasp apparatus. As we started to choreograph different economic flows and build an understanding of how the circus ecosystem could benefit from our design, we didn't fully grasp the full potentiality of the meeting between these two forms of expression. Little by little, new ideas and possibilities started to unfold. And what we finally had in front of us was something that potentially could change the way we engage with our artworks, how we share and contribute to each other's concepts and ideas. But that wasn't enough. We also saw a way to include every actor in the whole ecosystem, the artists, audience, venues, the producers, potential investors and sympathizers, at the level of decision-making, funding and production. What other creational models could be invented? Could audience of dreamers and publics of interest be invited to participate in the propositional stage of an art project? And could they all benefit from the new radiance of a circus culture that is actively involved in its own reinvention? And today we're EU Creative Europe project as well, and we're working between many circus festivals, and we have also a close collaboration with Gnosis, with Curve Labs, with Culture Stake, and Black Swan DAO, and some actors in the blockchain and crypto field. And we're currently having an opening of an exhibition where performing art projects can present themselves with a digital representation in between stages as a way of funding and creating community around potential futures of artworks. Let's say like that. And that's my final word.
Okay, thank you so much, Ulla. I think it was super interesting and completing what Primavera was explaining just before. For the people who have joined us recently, I just want to say that we are in the webinar called Blockchain and Art. And we have around the table 4 artists, 2 artists who are from the, let's say, the physical or analog world, but leveraging digital technologies and especially blockchain and NFTs. And we also have 2 other artists who are from the digital scene, Jonas and Trim. And Jonas, maybe could you please complete what have been said until now with your own story, why you have started using these technologies and how it changed your life as an artist, please.
Yeah, I can continue. So I have a background in traditional arts. I have education from Städelschule in Frankfurt, where I graduated in 2011. And I've been, since I guess earliest days of studying, I've always been interested in change, and especially how culture can change. So that's been my main focus. So when I graduated, of course, it was natural to look into a change of economy, because that was around the time where there was a cultural economy crash. So I formed, together with some fellow students, I formed an artist group called, we called ourselves Lehman Brothers, the first bank that crashed. And we, for some years, we made exhibitions around economy and how economy can change, and also desire connected to economy. And through that research, I stumbled upon Bitcoin, I think in 2015, and immediately understood the potential of change in Bitcoin. So 2015, I began researching, and I think I entered the blockchain space, or the artist blockchain space, in 2019, where I minted my first NFT on super rare on Ethereum. So to those of you who does not know so much about NFTs, and I can just explain very shortly. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it was this is something that we could discuss all together in the second part to explain the audience what is blockchain, what is NFT. So maybe
Yes.
at the moment we can more focus on the purpose of it for your art.
Yeah, so for me,
if it's okay.
but maybe that's interlinked somehow, but without going too much into depth with it, for me at least, it was a way to, I had done a lot of digital works and had problems both showing them with galleries and selling them. And this making NFTs were a way for me to enter a global marketplace, but also securing my work for the future and presenting it to a new audience. Yeah, so and that's what I do today. Today I would consider myself an NFT researcher and also a crypto artist. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Jonas. And Trym, last but not least, can you tell us about your story and why you started using these technologies for your art?
Yes, I can. I have had some issues now with my internet, so I hope it's okay. Just let me know if I get laggy. Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you. The image is a little bit lagging, but it's okay.
Oh, okay. So yes, well, I started using NFTs, or like my first experience with crypto in the first place was in 2017 when I decided to buy some Bitcoin with some of my friends, and rode out that whole wave. And then back in 2020, spring 2020, I firstly discovered NFTs. And I was intrigued by it because I've been really into 3D and digital art, and I saw somebody selling their artwork as NFTs. So I thought this was really cool, but this was only on a super rare and nifty gateway, and it was really hard to get on those platforms at the time. So I just continued to do my 3Ds every day, basically, and until December 2020, I discovered Wearable, and that's where I started making my NFTs. And the 7th of January, I got the idea to make some collectible toys after I had seen this guy called the Rarebit Bunnies who made these crypto bunnies on Wearable. And they were super popular and really collectible because they were all numbered. So that's when I made my first wood boy, the 7th of January, the idea for it. And then I minted my first one 9th of January this year. And I was determined to try to sell these NFTs. I hadn't sold anyone yet. And so I was just going to make them every day until someone bought it. And it was different at the time because Wearable wasn't really that popular, so too many people weren't making stuff there. So my thought process was, if I made one every day, it would come at the top of the page and get pushed down slowly. And so if I made one every day, it would always pop up on the Wearable front page. And one day everything sold out. I woke up and I checked my phone and I thought like my stuff had been removed from the store, but someone had bought all my collectible toys. And the day before that, I set a goal actually to sell out all my toys. And I was wondering like when do people who are like trying, when do they succeed? And then suddenly I just succeeded overnight, which was really interesting. Anyways, I continued to make the Wood Boys every day.
I'm sorry, do you know what was the trigger? Why suddenly it started to ramp up like this?
I think people had seen them on the front page on Wearable, and I thought, oh, these are cool, but like, you know, it's hard to take the first step and really go for it. Okay. At the time, they were only like $20 a piece as well, so they were super cheap. But then. So when you want something and you're like, not sure if I will buy it, and then suddenly you can't buy them anymore, then you really want it a lot more, I guess. And so people really started asking me when I was going to make the next ones. And I continued to make them and sold out for 50 days straight. And then I had a little bit break, and I'm continuing to develop the brand. So NFTs for me, what that has allowed is for me to sell art that I couldn't sell in a form before really easily to people all around the world with like, and they can get their artwork instantly. So allows me to reach a much broader audience and engage in the community in a whole different way rather than with physical art.
Okay, so thank you very much to the four of you. I think it's quite interesting because as we could see that we have 4 different artists from 4 different countries, and also some of you are on the physical world, others are on the digital world, and we can see that there are common traits that are enabled thanks to blockchain and NFT. It allows to organize a community of artists and share the risk and the profit among this community. It allows to protect the pieces of art, and we are going to speak about that right after. It allows to engage with an audience that you would not have engaged otherwise. And last but not least, and I guess this is one of the key points, it allows to sell your artworks. So it was quite interesting. So the next chapter, I guess, for the audience, we have just learned before starting this webinar that we have a group of students who are attending the webinar. So hi to the students. And I was told also that the audience is quite broad, so it's ranging from artists, students, and other kind of people. So it would be good if we could be a little bit pedagogical now and explain to our audience the fundamentals of what we have discussed until now. So what is blockchain in simple words? What is NFT in simple words? And what does it enable? And also, what doesn't it enable? And especially, I have a question for Primavera on the difference between NFT and IP rights on this topic. So, Jonas, I think you wanted to explain NFT. So maybe you can start.
Yeah. I was about to. At least for me, other panel. You just what is it called, corrigate me if I say something wrong, but at least as I use NFTs, I make a digital file. I will make this really simple so everybody can understand. So yeah, I make a digital work that could be a JPEG or a GIF or a video file or something that people are used to see on the internet, and then with the help of different platforms, I put the file on a server somewhere. That could be on a distributed server that is on a blockchain where there's a lot of computers that saving the file together, or just on a server, let's say Amazon Cloud, Amazon server or something like that. So I put my file there, and then I have a blockchain create NFT that is a set of rules or identifications that point to this file, and also are recorded into a blockchain. And in this case, a blockchain is a way to store data on a lot of computers that all agree on the same state of this file. So I would be able to prove always when the file was made and that I made it. And that's basically the NFT. That's a hash, one would say, that is referencing this file that I've put on the internet somewhere. And when this is done, I can sell it to collectors, or also most often I can present it in a virtual world or somewhere and make exhibitions, and my file is seen by as many people as possible.
Before we give the word to Primavera to discuss the IP and NFT, Ule and Prim, would you like to complete this definition of NFT?
Yeah, I'm just thinking concerning the definition of NFT, the non-fungible token. Also, to just mention maybe what is fungible and non-fungible. Maybe this is very basic for some, I don't know, but for me it was a complicated term in the beginning, at least, to just get my head around. But the non-fungible is the thing that is not interchangeable, or that if I borrow your car, you want the same car back when I leave it back to you, most probably, if it's not a much better car, but still it will mean something else in value to you if I give you another car than the one I borrowed from you. So it would be considered probably non-fungible compared to money, where I can borrow 20 euros from you and give you back like 5 euros times 4 and you wouldn't care, or I could give another bill and you wouldn't care, and so on. So that's like the non-fungible aspect is just that it's valid as a single original piece, and it's that exactly that you want to that you're talking to, referring to. Yeah, that's why, I mean, and token, it's also like the for me to explain token, but it's the referring to exactly that. I think this someone would maybe explain better than me, but for me, token is just, I'm thinking about it just as a token for any kind of like flipper machine or whatever. It's just like the coin itself as token, or you know, and here's a digital version of that. Just to add something about the NFT. Other than that, I'm agreeing, and I see that there's many things to be said around how you can use it and what it can become, but that's later, I guess.
So Trim, would you like to complete this definition and explain also what it enables?
Yeah, so, or I think Ole said it pretty good, but like a super simple explanation is non-fungible token. That means something that's unique. For instance, a one-of-a-kind Van Gogh painting or a Pokemon card. Those are kind of unique. And so if we trade those, we would have like completely different values. But as you said, with the money, two $10 bills is the same as a $20 bill. They have the same value. So an NFT is something that's unique in its trade, and therefore NFTs allows you to do a lot of stuff, which is pretty cool. So because you have this unique token with its own value, that can be registered, and because you hold this one-of-a-kind NFT, me, for instance, I would be able to locate your address via this NFT and airdrop you some other goods or get you some other stuff as well. So NFTs can be also kind of like a key to unlock even more NFTs in a way.
Yeah. So I think the definition becomes quite clear. But from what I understand, if I were downloading a JPEG from the internet, a piece of art, and then I put it on the server and then link it to the NFT, although the image is, I did not create the image, it would become mine. So how does that work? And I guess we can ask the question to Primavera, since she's an expert in this kind of questions related to IP and NFT and blockchain.
Yeah, basically, I mean, there's many layers to that question. The first one is that indeed there is no one preventing anyone from taking any content and creating an NFT out of it, because you just need to have access to the digital file and you can mint it as an NFT. Of course, that means that it doesn't originate from the author, but it is still an NFT of that particular work. And this raises a lot of interesting questions because those things are being done, and of course this is kind of like a fraudulent behavior. But at the same time, the interesting thing is that one cannot actually rely on traditional cause of action such as copyright infringement in order to prevent those activities, because the actual content of the file that is associated with the NFT is not reproduced. Is actually there's no reproduction within the NFT itself. The NFT is just linking towards an external file, and therefore copyright doesn't actually help. And that's interesting. So that's interesting in that sense, in the sense that yes, people can create NFTs of work that they do not own, and that they don't own in the sense that they don't own the copyright over. And once again, it becomes more of a question of commercial fraud, in the sense that, of course, if I claim that I am the author, then I am deceiving the consumer. But if I don't claim that I am the owner, and if I just very openly say this is the NFT of a work done by someone else, then it's up to the market to decide whether this thing has value or doesn't have value. But as an actor, you have not really done anything wrong. There is no violation of the copyright. There is no deceit of the purchaser, and so forth. And then the flip side of that is, what does it mean when I acquire an NFT? Do I actually acquire any of the rights in the content that is associated with that NFT? And in most cases, so it depends, of course, it depends on the platform on which the NFT is being minted. But oftentimes there is no transfer, there is no licensing of the copyright in the content, with maybe some exceptions, such as the right of displaying the work on your social media, on your website, perhaps on virtual galleries, and so forth. But there is no actual rights on reproducing or commercially exploiting the work that is associated with your NFT. And so basically, there is this important distinction to be made between the content that the NFT is associated with and the NFT itself, which is quite separate from that content. And that means that you can create an NFT even if you don't own the content, and vice versa, you can own an NFT without actually owning any of the rights in the content.
Okay, so thanks a lot. I think it's quite clear. Do you guys want to jump in and complete or give your views on this question of IP, author rights, and NFT?
Yeah, I could say one thing that comes to my mind. It's that the whole, I mean, the culture surrounding the NFT is of course crucial. If you're holding if you're an NFT holder in a particular series or kind of NFT, then what will be relevant for the other holders of that specific NFT will be that it is the kind of original work from within that ecosystem, or the community around the NFT itself is what also is given to you as an NFT holder of that particular NFT. And I think this is something very interesting. What I mean with this is that the IP, in one sense, it makes it's very important. But I would say that the community of let's say a specific, let's not say a specific, just of an NFT, that they know if it's the real one or not the real one, and so on. And this and how you communicate, how you exchange, and what is built around the magic of holding this NFT. That's particularly interesting, I think, and it's something else than IP, but it's really something that valid. Like if you have the valid asset, it's you will be able to enter that space, and be a part of something.
Any more comments or on this?
I can see something from experience. This is definitely something I think a lot of people in the community are aware about, and I at least noticed, and also myself, has a best practice of writing into the contract what can you do with the NFT, because it's so uncertain what people can do with it. So I, for example, have begun to write, if I make a digital piece, a 3D object, I write like you can show it in your garden in augmented reality, or what I expect the collector to be able to do with the piece. Yeah.
All right. So I'm taking this opportunity to welcome the new participants who have joined. The number has increased a little bit more, so I just would like to remind you that we are on the webinar Blockchain and Art, organized by the French Institutes of Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. And that we are with 4 artists, 2 artists coming from the analog / physical world, and 2 artists from the digital world. The last chapter of our journey together, so to speak, is about how can I use it. I myself am a wannabe artist at my very modest level. Some of the work that I'm doing around photographies, I would like tomorrow to sell it through a digital manner. So, and I guess that in the audience, we also have a number of artists who are wondering these kind of questions also. What would be your advice, the tips and tricks, or the best ways, to start to understand what is at stake, how it works, what are the best platforms for my particular needs, etc. So we started the discussion at the very beginning on why using NFTs and blockchain for art. Then we spoke about what it enables, and now it's let's try to be even more concrete. If I want to start as an artist, what should be my next steps, and what are your advice for that? And once again, we have students in the room, so I think we have to be very use a very simple word and be very pedagogical. Although I don't know the level of these students who are probably extremely bright.
I can just start by like the simple way how I started making NFTs, and this was when I first discovered Rarible, which is a site that anybody can make an account on with their MetaMask wallet or another wallet of their choice. And these wallets are also really easy to set up. It's just a Chrome extension or a phone app that you download. And when you've logged into Rarible with your wallet, there's this really easy interface where it says just create on the top right corner, and there you can basically upload whatever kind of content you want, whether it's a video, a GIF, an image, and you can also choose a cover for that one. So if you want your image to move while it's on the front page of the store, upload a GIF as a cover. That's how it was before, at least. And then you just proceed to write information about the product that you want. Say that if they have this NFT, they can also get a physical t-shirt, for instance. And then you write the price for it, and you also choose which collection it is to be minted in. So if you mint it in Rarible's collection,
I think we have lost.
Then Rarible
we lost you. We lost you for 5 seconds.
Oh, okay. At which sentence?
5 seconds ago.
Okay.
Not so long.
So whenever you can choose which collection to mint in, and here you have the option to make your own collection, which is really nice. And this is also attractable for collectors to see that this is kind of in the official collection of your artworks. So me, for instance, I make these digital collectible toys, and therefore I have them in this Rude Boys toy collection, rather than just Rarible's own collection, because there your artwork can get kind of lost between all the others who minted in that collection as well. And then you just you mint it, pay a small gas price, rather large now because there's so much pressure on the Ethereum network, and you're able to sell your artwork, if that made sense.
Okay. Yeah, it totally makes sense. And before we give the stage to the others to complete or maybe explain what the pitfalls could it be, I would like to tell to our audience that they should not hesitate to ask questions in the chat, because we are reaching the end of the webinar, and we are going to open the stage to questions. So please don't hesitate to start submitting your questions to our renowned artists who are with us today. Ule, Yunus, Prima, would you like to complete this recipe to start with NFT and art, or maybe you want to share with us some of the pitfalls that we should avoid?
I think that for me it's crucial to see what is the the art I make, and for what am I striving to do, or what am I looking for? For me, this NFT path and the blockchain kind of path for me has been about really like finding ways of having new ways of investing in performing arts through digital like performances between stages. Like it's something that has performed, is now has a digital representation that doesn't have at all to be like a video of the work. It can be a multimedia kind of three-dimensional NFT, and that can later then be invested in by multiple people and can be transformed into a new performance, for instance, that happens live. And for me, it's a way of looking for this audience development that we're looking for in the performing arts sector at all times, and also for new ways for business and the crypto sector to invest in something, meeting points and social gatherings and live performances. So wanting to do that, then it's a whole other like layer on how can I onboard the culture sector that is normally in theaters, or so to be interested in like MetaMask and cryptocurrencies, and how can I attract the crypto sector into wanting to care for physical performances. And so I had to navigate between so many like dots, So for me, creating one NFT would not be, I couldn't mint one a day if I dreamed about it. I have to kind of find a constellation of many stakeholders that would be interested in some specific occasion, or so pitfall in that way. It's like for me to just go for it, just mint and show, here's my stuff. I need to have like a thought through kind of strategy of what I want to do with my art, and how I can share it. And I think that this is also maybe more interesting for some that also thinking about making NFTs, like what, except for hyper-capitalistic incentives to create an NFT, what could it be? And just research around what communities are happening, what different ways can an NFT work like, what files can it consist of, can it happen all in the code, can it happen with attached files, and what kind? And then see like, okay, now I understand the media, and now I go for minting, and maybe join some hackathons and join a community. For me, I think it's quite nice to learn from what's already there. But then the threshold is low to just mint and Rarible, and I think both works, but for different reasons.
All right, thanks. We have questions from the audience that are starting to come. And there is at least one which is quite interesting. It's from Justine. If art becomes a very private property, how will it stay available to the society? Any thoughts on that, guys?
With NFTs in general, they're all like kind of. I can just say my sentence. It wasn't very long. So even though I own the artwork, it's all digital. It's available to everybody to view the work of art, at least as in like the NFT form.
All right. So we did not hear the beginning of what you said, Trim, but what I heard was although it is an NFT, it remains available for views to anyone, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So even though I'm perhaps own the artwork, you can still view it and enjoy it, and that's what's really good about NFTs. Rather than you have these large warehouses where all these fine paintings are just stored for value, rather than being able to be viewed. So that's something I think is nice.
Primavera, did you want to complete this answer related to the how do we make it available to the society?
Yeah, actually, I find it a very interesting question because I hear it a lot, and I find it. I think that this actually shows a strong confusion with NFTs. because indeed NFTs is actually a fantastic present, at least for especially for like all the artists that are involved in like the Creative Commons and like the open content movement, because for the actual first time there is the possibility of monetizing digital work, actually obtaining some kind of compensation, because we are selling the copy of a digital work as opposed to the usual mechanism by which we are monetizing works, which is via copyright. And so because of NFTs, you can actually have a digital work which is completely free of any copyright restrictions, and yet you can still make money out of this. And this is somehow, I think this is one of the most beautiful presents that the blockchain community has given to the Creative Commons community, which is an actual business model around creative works, around digital creative works, which does not rely on copyright licensing. And so that means that you can literally eliminate every possible copyright restrictions, and still you can make money because you're selling the copy. But all the usual non-commercial, non-derivative, whatever else, or like just preventing the reproduction is completely gone. And quite to the contrary, if you want to maximize the sale of your NFT, most likely you wanna disseminate your work to the maximum audience possible, because the more popular your work is, then the more valuable the copy of your digital work will be. So it's an interesting question, because it's like actually the opposite. NFT creates property not on the work itself, which is the intellectual property, but creates property on the copy of the work, and therefore it enables the work as intellectual property to be less of a property.
All right, thanks a lot, Prima. We have many other questions actually coming in. While we keep discussing together and answering the questions, we have some people who would like to see some of your pieces of art. So I don't know if you can post some link in the chat that could be made available to the audience. That would be terrific. And while you are doing that, we have a question from Guillaume. Guillaume, I've lost your question. Let me find it again. So how can you integrate the co-authorship in the process of minting the artwork? This is a question from Guillaume.
Should I, so at least on different...
Yeah, and since, I'm sorry, Younes, but because we are reaching the end of the webinar, let's try to be very brief in the answers, please.
Yes, very brief. You can, for example, on Mintbase and different other platforms, you can split who was the author behind the works, also on unknown origin. It's a practice that is done already on platforms.
So we have a question from a very practical question. No, I'm sorry. We have a question, full stop, from Eric. What are your thoughts on the interdependencies of crypto art and the finance economy of crypto money? What is the impact of the art being made in this context?
Yeah.
So it makes you laugh, Younes, or who wants to answer?
Ole, you can just go.
Yeah, I was laughing, but no, but for me, as I see it, there's a possibility to have different governance processes around how you distribute money coming in, how you can save capital from capitalism in different ways, using DAO structures or different rules for how you would distribute the money coming in to common pools that you can then vote on to create new proposals. And I think that you can kind of, for me, what I see is through the decentralized finance way of working is that we can actually really find new and interesting ways of connecting art and finance. For me, this is more interesting, and the potentiality in this than stepping away from the potentiality of some other risk of the wrong investor or something like this. I'm much more keen on seeing how we can actually co-own our own communities in a cosmo-local way in the crypto communities. I think this is super interesting. That's my answer.
All right, so we are reaching the end of the webinar, and I don't know if you guys have some hard stop at 3, but actually I do on my side, so unfortunately we won't be able to go on for so much longer. So I would like to maybe as a last words, if you guys have a question for the other panelists, now is the time to ask it. And while you are asking the question and answering among you guys, I would like to once again thank you for sharing your experience with me and with the rest of the audience. And I just would like to remind one last time that this webinar is organized by the French institutes of Norway, Sweden, and Denmark around art and blockchain as part of a more general initiative called Digital November, which explores and shares initiatives on digital and art. So thanks again to everyone. And if you please have one last question and one last answer, the floor is yours. Oh my God, we should have planned that. Nobody has a question.
Just say thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
Okay, I think it's a good way to conclude also. So thanks a lot, guys. Thank you to the audience. Cheers to the students, and looking forward for the next edition of this awesome series of webinars. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.